President Trump is trying to use these tariffs to get rid of taxes. And I'm telling you guys, he is very smart. That's how the country was ran before taxes.
I'm telling you guys, he's very smart. That's how the country was ran. Okay. He's smart. Why? Hey, shout out to all of the subscribers and members here on the channel. I am Reese Waters, and this is Who Raised Y'all, where we highlight those unique individuals going above and beyond to make society worse.
So I'm just supposed to believe everything I'm told. So you're telling me that these astronauts were in space and we got them back down. So you're telling me these people were in what looks like a metal Dorito going at what speed? Because, you know, they were in space or Hollywood, California. I don't know. So they're coming down at genuinely what speed? Extremely fast. You know, when you hit water at a certain point, it's just cement. And then the thing that stopped them was little whatever they are, like airbags in the sky. That was able to slow them down. Then they hit the water and we're okay. Oh, by the way, look at the sky. No chemtrails. Where were they? How was the sky perfectly blue? And then dolphins surrounded them? And then they were just like, okay. How dumb do you think we are?
Really fucking dumb.
You know, the kinds of people you'll see asking to speak to the manager at the pearly gates.
I want to talk to the manager.
Now, it became apparent well before the election that Maga had no idea how tariffs worked.
It's the tariffs.
The Chinese government pays the tariff.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
I'm an importer and exporter for 20 years. When a product comes into the U.S., there's something called a tariff sheet.
Okay.
I, as the buyer of that product, follow U.S. law and pay the tariff. I'm an American citizen, an American taxpayer. I pay that tariff to the U.S. government, and that increase in the cost, I then sell to you for a higher price because I've got to cover that tariff.
Then what about?
There is
then
no.
What do you say? Our tariffs are higher when they go overseas as opposed to theirs coming here.
Tariffs are never a zero-sum game. Tariffs are a tool. For example, you might say, you want to sell us your beans.
Yeah.
We are going to give you a low tariff if you buy our corn. But the cost of the tariff is ultimately always borne by the consumer. I couldn't tell you if it's good policy for the U.S. government to tax beans and for the Chinese government to tariff corn. But what I can absolutely assure you is that a product that comes into the U.S. is paid for by a U.S. company, and the increased cost of that is borne by all of us.
Now, in a true FAFO moment for the entire country, we've all seen exactly how they work by virtue of our economy and our stock market. Like we've all seen exactly how they work.
U.S. President Donald Trump's tariff-induced market mayhem appears to just be getting started. Trading in European markets now underway, and these right here are the numbers. They speak for themselves. They are following Asia's lead with serious losses. Asian markets, they've also been plunging. Just look at these numbers here as well. Major hits across the board. Hong Kong's Hang Seng hit the hardest of all. U.S. stock futures, they are not faring, or at least they're not faring any better. The Dow, NASDAQ, and also the S&P 500 futures, they are all down ahead of the new trading week.
We have all seen exactly how tariffs work. Poorly. Quite poorly. Now, let's be clear about something. In withdrawing the tariffs, Trump admitted that his strategy was indefensible. But that didn't stop Maga.
I truly wish more people understood the tariffs that President Trump is implementing. I wish more people knew what kind of freedom that's going to give the American people.
That's true. That's true because they say that money, you become a slave to money. You know what I mean? You become a slave to money. and they say you become a slave to belonging. So if they take everything away, you broke. Now you free. You know, now I feel true freedom without things and wealth and money and all those things that tie me to joy and happiness.
But wait, there's more.
President Trump is trying to use these tariffs to get rid of taxes. And I'm telling you guys, he is very smart. That's how the country was ran before taxes.
I'm telling you guys, he's very smart. That's how the country was ran. Okay. He's smart. Why? Why? Because he told you he's smart? You remember he gave that speech and he talked about how smart everybody in his family. Oh, he's smart because he told you he was smart.
Even I say to myself, you're a frickin' genius. Hey, look, I had an uncle, my father's brother, who's the longest serving he's the longest serving professor in the history of MIT. He graduated, he was a phenomenal student, a real genius, really brilliant guy. And I believe in the racehorse theory. Fast horses produce fast horses.
So you don't care about none of the bankruptcies, and you don't care about the debt. You don't care that he said he had concepts of a plan. You don't care about any. He's smart because he told you he was smart. You believe that he's smart because he told you he's smart. Why is that? Why is that? Are there any qualifications, any degrees you could have seen from Kamala Harris where you would have delegated that she probably would be better? No, there's not, right? He's smart because he said he was.
I truly have a hard time understanding how anybody could be against that. I understand maybe not liking him, but who could be against getting rid of taxes? Who is against having more money in your pocket?
Somebody that doesn't trust that. Somebody who looks at how untrustworthy he's been as a businessman. What is he? Triple digits lawsuits or quadruple now? Whatever the case may be. Some man looks at how trustworthy he's been as a businessman. Somebody that looks how trustworthy he's been as a husband. Somebody that looks at how trustworthy he's been as a president. As far as he told you that price was gonna go way down before the election, and then before Christmas said he can't promise anything.
With your vote tomorrow, we can fix every single problem our country faces and lead America, and indeed the whole world, to new heights of glory.
A few moments later.
One of your signature promises on the campaign trail, which was to end inflation, to lower prices. You are now proposing tariffs against the United States' three biggest trading partners. Economists of all stripes say that ultimately consumers pay the price of tariffs.
I don't believe
Can
it.
you guarantee American families won't pay more?
I can't guarantee anything. I can't guarantee tomorrow.
That is how you can be against that. Reality. Well, I have good news for you, ma'am. I was preoccupied when you originally made this video with him grabbing up people without due process and deporting people and saying that he didn't have to abide by judges' orders and threatening martial law and Department of Education. I was preoccupied with a whole lot of things. I didn't get a chance to respond immediately, but the good news is that when I was able to respond, I was able to give it a chance. Now we know.
All you people freaking out about the stock market, where were you when the stock market dropped under Joe Biden?
So we done moved the goalposts that quickly. I thought it was given a chance. And then all of a sudden, where were y'all when the stock market crashed under Joe Biden? Wow, y'all. Under the same account. Like, she didn't even open a new account. She didn't change her voice or nothing. Like, literally the same account now. Where were y'all when it crashed under Joe Biden? That's funny. I can tell you where y'all were when the economy crashed under Joe Biden. I can tell you where Trump was when the economy crashed under Joe Biden, holding him accountable and responsible for it, irregardless of any external factors. That's where y'all were. And that's where Trump was. Why don't y'all stay there? That's called integrity.
Where? And it dropped a heck of a lot farther than it has under President Trump.
See, the thing is, we have numbers. And they tell us exactly how far something dropped. And we have numbers that can determine time. Numbers can help you determine time and figure out when something happened and like under whose leadership something happened. And you can attribute it to that person. So thankfully, the gift of numbers has given us the ability to realize how truly full of you are.
The stock market is going to gain and recover. It will gain and recover. Do you guys understand that the stock market is owned by less than 7% of the population? Do you realize that? And do you also realize that the stock market does not dictate the economy? I know you're going to want to argue about that in the comments. I'm not even going to respond to you.
Because you can't. But because you can't. That's a nice preamble. I'm not even going to respond to y'all calling out my ignorance. All right, just for your purposes of, I love the stock market is going to gain and recover, and it's only owned by 7% of the population. I'll look for those explanations when you guys are trying to tie Biden to stock market performances. I will be on the lookout for that. But as far as your whole point about the stock market doesn't dictate the economy, how's the economy doing? Yeah, how's that? How are prices? How's inflation going right now? I don't know why that would be a flex for you, that the stock market is not. I mean, it's like stepping in mud and saying my dirty left shoe ain't my dirty right shoe. They're both filthy. They're both disgusting.
It does not dictate our economy. And everybody crying about HUD cutting funding to sanctuary cities, you need to start calling these cities and asking that they follow federal law. Then they get their funding back. You cry about President Trump and say he isn't following the law, he's breaking the law. Meanwhile, you expect our government to fund cities that are breaking the law. Make that make sense.
Okay, well, I don't know where that came from. Where you're talking about, I don't know, but the dialogue that you've been having with your followers.
But I can tell you in my actual experience, in real life, in reality, and not in this fallacy world that y'all are making up where you hate on everybody. So my Republican colleagues are here using today to continue pushing this false narrative of sanctuary cities harboring criminals. Yet right here in D.C., we have a 34-count felon being harbored in the White House. The hypocrisy coming from your side of the aisle over concerns regarding lawlessness is outrageous. Right now, House Republicans are conducting town halls with constituents lying about our legal system. That, quote, there is no due process if you come here illegally because you violated the law. That immigrants, quote, are not entitled to due process. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say that.
But I can talk about cutting to FEMA. I can talk about that. Yeah. Why don't you call all of those red states and tell them they need to abide by federal law? That's why they're not getting that FEMA money. And that's why FEMA got their knees cut out from underneath them. The law. How about this? President Trump is actively trying to get judges censored and disbarred because he doesn't want to follow the law. He is literally admitting he doesn't want to follow the law. I don't have to be like, oh, you're saying he doesn't follow the law. He's saying he doesn't follow the law. Make that make sense.
I have faith in the system that President Trump is implementing. It's going to be fine. Stop trying to scare people. God bless y'all.
Now you see how he got elected. Now you see exactly how he got elected. People want how could they have voted for a felon and that play him the TikTok. But there you go. That's exactly how.
Trump's tariffs on Liberation Day is looking pretty good for the stock market. What do you think about that now, Dems?
I'm surprised he kept this up. Yeah. Like to see a follow-up.
President Trump has given you a gift and you're too blind to see it. The stock market is the only store in the world that when it goes on sale, everyone freaks the F out. And since when you guys been more worried about Wall Street than the actual street? Let's go, boys.
You saw it? You saw it? You saw it? Yeah! He went from bragging about how the stock market was doing. Well, he gave y'all a gift. And y'all, he gave y'all a gift. Y'all don't even know it. You know what I mean? It's the gift of humility. Yeah, he's the gift of humility. It's like that first lady was saying, he'd set y'all free. Without any, it's the gift of humility. That's what he gave y'all. Now, as far as the other one that I love, the stock market is the only store on earth where everything goes on sale and people freak out. I think that might be because you buy equity into the store. I think that might, because I don't just leave with my stuff and then care about how Costco does after I leave. Once I buy into Costco, now I do. That would be the thing. So you really are throwing away anybody that has been to that store before this point. And to your premise that it's on sale and it's a gift. Well, if he continues to give us gifts, it's going to continue to go on sale. So that means I go in and buy it now for sale. Now it's worth less because the sale continued to deepen. That was as bad an analogy as I've ever heard. Oh, he's back! When you realize Trump is crashing the economy on purpose to force the Fed to cut interest rates and make the American dream affordable again. You went from bragging on stock market performance to he gave y'all a gift because the store is on sale to he's crashing the economy on purpose. That is what 1, 2, 3. You're playing tic-tac-toe. That's exactly what you are doing. You're not playing checkers or chess. You are playing tic-tac-toe. I would also love for you to send this about him crashing the economy on purpose to the first lady. See, that would be, I think she would be, you know what I mean? I think that would help enlighten her that that's where you're at with it, that he is crashing the economy on purpose, because she's still in denial even about the economic effects.
Trump is a businessman, not a politician, and he is standing on business with these tariffs.
Was he a good one? Huh? Was he a good one? Was he a good businessman? What is his business record? How many buildings has his name come off of? How's Atlantic City doing? Actually, now I think about it. Yeah, okay. It'd be a good city representation of his business career. But that was the man. That was the man who we need a businessman. I didn't say a good one. I just said a businessman.
Trump nailed it with these tariffs. Trump just proved to everyone that he is the ultimate negotiator because he came in at the perfect level.
But what it is many times more than they should be to reach the desired aims. I already have put out a video about the mistakes that were made in the tariff math. So, yeah.
And I know a lot of people thought that he was going to be like a bull running out the gate with these tariffs, but this is actually a great starting point. They're not so high that it would start a trade war and piss everybody off. And they're not so low that we're not getting anything out of the deal. This is the perfect starting number in order to bring these countries to the table so that we can renegotiate these tariffs.
They're not so high they would start a trade war. Send this TikTok to China. Yeah, send this TikTok to China and to the EU too while we at it. Matter of fact, just blast this everywhere, because she said it's not so high it would start a trade war because Because trade war been trending for days now.
That right there is the piece that the Democrats and the mainstream media have been missing this entire time. Yes, in the long term, Trump wants more products made in America so that we don't have this tariff issue in the future. But in the short term, this will bring the other countries back to the table. We can renegotiate the tariffs they have on us, and it will make our products cheaper now. I mean, honestly, Trump kept saying short-term pain for long-term benefits. All I'm seeing is short-term benefits and long-term benefits. Mark my words, all it's going to take is 1 or 2 major countries coming out and lowering their tariffs on us, and the rest of the countries are going to fall in line.
Let's take a look at the short-term benefits.
Do you guys understand that the stock market is owned by less than 7% of the population?
Now, as far as things being made here, Howard Lutnick already made a mockery of that entire argument.
You realize trillions of dollars of factories are going to be built in America. That's huge GDP. The factories being built in America are huge.
That takes
GDP.
years, and you've said that robots are going to fill those jobs. So those aren't union worker jobs.
It's automated factories, but the key is who's going to build the factories, who's going to operate the factories, who's going to make them work. Great American workers. You know, we are going to replace
on other
the
networks,
armies
so that's
of millions of people. Well, remember, the army of millions and millions of human beings screwing in little screws to make iPhones. That kind of thing is going to come to America. It's going to be automated, and great Americans, the trade craft of America, is going to fix them, is going to work on them. They're going to be mechanics. There's going to be HVAC specialists. There's going to be electricians. The trade craft of America are high school educated Americans. The core to our workforce is going to have the greatest resurgence of jobs in the history of America to work on these high-tech factories.
Now, I understand that Lutnick might be hard to follow, might be hard to understand and comprehend him from point A to point B, even though he is literally in the cabinet.
President Trump promised that he was going to improve the economy starting on day one. He said prices are going to come down. More than 160 million Americans, Mr. Secretary, as you know, are invested in the market. Many of them have spent their lives saving for their retirement. What is your message to Americans who want to retire right now and who've just seen their lifetime savings drop significantly?
Well, Chris, I think that's a false narrative. Americans who want to retire right now, the Americans who have put away for years in their savings accounts, I think they don't look at the day-to-day fluctuations of what's happening.
Now, hopefully that was... She's back?
Let's have another conversation about these tariffs, because apparently a lot of people are upset that we're actually excited for this. The comment section on my last video about tariffs is exactly why we all say that Trump is playing chess and you guys are playing checkers. When you're playing chess, you have to maneuver. You have to think about moves that are 10 steps ahead of what you are doing. Checkers is not that complicated. You guys think you have the entire game figured out because you're analyzing one move that he's making and you're not thinking about the next 10 moves that he's going to make. These tariffs are one step in like a 10-step plan that is made to accomplish 4 things, which are to remove income tax on anyone who makes less than $150,000 a year, to bring back $1 trillion in revenue, to cut $1 trillion in spending, and to bring manufacturing back to the United States. You guys are never going to be able to figure out Trump's strategy if you keep trying to break it down piece by piece instead of combining the pieces to make one giant puzzle.
See, y'all don't understand. He playing chess, not checkers. You know what I mean? You play it because when he wants to cut the taxes to people making under $150,000, but in order to do that, he had to promise the top 1%, he had to promise the billionaires their tax cuts first. You have to look at his track record. Every time he promised something, he always delivers, you know? So like when he talked about, oh, what if the stock market crash under Biden? He delivered a stock market crash himself. You know what I mean? That's chess. That is chess. It ain't checkers.
Yes, it ain't checkers.
Here, maybe this will help y'all out in your chess checkers comparison. Just figure out exactly where in the stages you're at, because this is exactly how y'all sound.
Yeah, I voted for him for the economy. Yeah, so I think he knows what he's doing. I mean, he's a businessman. We just have to trust him. No. No. This is all part of the plan. It's like he's gonna dip it, and so then we can buy really low, and then we're all gonna be rich. Where do I live? I live in Mississippi. Yeah, why? Why are you laughing? Just wait. Just wait. You guys are gonna be so sorry that you doubted him. Just wait. Just wait and see how good life gets. We are going to win so hard. We're going to be doing so much winning. You know, these things take time, and we might not be able to have those luxuries for a few years. So maybe you guys can finally cut back on the Starbucks. Will I be doing my hair at home? I guess, maybe.
So, MAGAs, what I would like for you to do, my homework for you, is to go home, watch that video, and come back and tell me what stage you are at. Because you should be at the end by now, but I know everybody moves at their own speed. We saw that in November. I'll be here when you're ready.
We have major breaking news into CNN on the global trade war. President Trump just truthed out saying, quote, I have authorized a 90-day pause. The president here announcing a 90-day pause on tariffs, though it's not clear specifically which countries this pause is going to apply to. The Dow right now shooting up over 2,000 points. Look at that as this announcement comes through, a giant spike in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. This is important as part of the messaging around this post.
President Trump now says he will implement a 90-day pause on tariffs on imports from more than 75 countries, but notably not for China. The president also saying that he will raise the tariff on Chinese imports now up to 125%.
Now, MAGA, you got a simple choice. You can either admit that you were full of it the entire time, or you can admit that you're in a cult and you're willing to swallow whatever dear leader throws your way. Thank you for supporting the channel. It is a new season, and with the new season comes new things, and I'm very excited to announce I'll be bringing guests on to my 8 p.m. live starting this very week.
No, never thought leopards would eat my face. Slow it down now.
You guys have sent me in a lot of suggestions for people you would love for me to have a conversation with, people in this particular space, people in the politics space, comedians, commentators, anybody who you would love to see exchange ideas right here on this platform. Go ahead and send in your suggestions. That also applies to my Way of Waters channel as well. I'll be bringing guests over there. So if there's people in the mindfulness space or in the consciousness space you would love to see me talk to, go ahead and send in your suggestions. And don't worry, we'll still have our private chats. Of course, I'm going to open up my lives with a rant like I always do. I'm definitely not a political channel, but I think I'm adjacent. You know what I mean? I think I'm adjacent. I would say, you know, I'm around the corner. I'm not too far. You know, I'm around the corner. Unless, I don't know if they got some redlining going. Maybe they got some redlining going on in politics streets, and now I'm on the other side. And we'll also have the members' lives as well, just when we need to talk offline. So those will be regular. And if you would like to join the channel, there's a link to membership in the description box of all the videos. I want to give a shout out to Obajuru, who's a supporter of the channel, who sent me this as a gift, and I absolutely love it. We're definitely going to find a use for that. And Kit and the Misfit Toys, who sent me this for my Way of Waters channel. You guys are truly, truly the best, and I just hope that I can rise to a level that is deserving of this level of support. Thank you.